You have been doing the work and you have been so focused on how far you still have to go that you have completely missed how far you've already come. Not because you're not paying attention, but because most people measure progress by the destination and not the distance already traveled. And when the destination has not yet arrived, it's easy to convince yourself that nothing is moving. But something is moving. And the inability to see it is not humility, it's a blind spot and it's costing you something you cannot afford to lose: the drive to keep going. By the end of this episode, you will see your progress clearly, and I promise you, it will not slow you down. And that's what we're getting into today. I'm Caren, and this is The Rewrite, a podcast about finding the courage to pursue the life you already know you're meant to live. Whether you have been with me since the beginning or this is your first time here, this episode is for anyone who has been doing the honest work of building something meaningful and is not yet sure if it's working. If you're new here, welcome. Every episode stands completely on its own, so you can start right here. And before we dive in, if what I bring to the show resonates with you, I want to ask you to subscribe and follow. Every subscription, every share does more than support this show. It puts this conversation in front of someone who may need it exactly when they need it most. These small things genuinely make a difference in this world, and I believe that with everything in me, so thank you very much. Today, we're talking about one of the most overlooked and undervalued parts of building a life on purpose: the progress you're not giving yourself credit for. Here is something I've come to understand about the way most people measure their progress. They're looking for the wrong thing. They're looking for the finished product, the visible result, the number on the scale, the subscriber count, the income, the relationship, the outcome that confirms to the outside world that the work has been worth it. And when that visible result hasn't arrived yet, they conclude that nothing is happening. But that conclusion is wrong because progress doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't always show up in a form that is immediately measurable or visible or confirmable by anyone outside of you. Sometimes progress looks like building blocks, one piece connecting to another. The thing you have been visualizing slowly coming to life in a way that is real, even before anyone else can see it. And one of the clearest signals that something is actually changing is this: you start looking forward to doing it. Not because you have to, not out of obligation or responsibility, but because the energy you bring to it is different from the energy you bring to the things you have to do. There is a want behind it, sometimes a want and a need combined. And that distinction between what you have to do and what you're pulled to do is one of the most honest measures of progress that's available to you. I want to ask you to think about something specific. Think about the season when you first started doing whatever it is you're building right now. The very beginning, when everything was new and unfamiliar and the learning curve felt almost vertical. Do you remember the feeling of overwhelm? When the information was coming faster than you could absorb it? When you were not sure if what you were doing was right or if you were even capable of figuring it out? And then something happened. Slowly, without a single obvious moment. The overwhelm started to steady. The things that once required your full concentration began to feel more natural. What you had been learning started to make sense in a way it had not made sense before. And applying it became easier and quicker than it was at the beginning. That is progress. Real, measurable, significant progress. And most people walk right past it because it didn't come with a notification like the kind many would see when people start liking or commenting on their Instagram post. You're not the same person who started this. You have climbed a learning curve that felt impossible from the bottom and now feels like ground you can stand on without thinking. That is not nothing. That is everything. And here's the honest reason most people discount their own progress. They're not looking at the small things. And the small things are where most of the real movement lives. It's those decisions made differently than it would have been 6 months ago. The boundary held for the first time. The thing started that would have been postponed indefinitely a year ago. Whether it's a business you're building, a health and fitness journey you're stepping into, or deepening your skill set through active learning and participation, none of those things look like progress from the outside. But from the inside, they represent a fundamental shift in who you're becoming. And that shift is the foundation everything else gets built on. The other reason is instant results. And I'll be honest with you, I have been guilty of this too. The expectation that if you put in the real work, real results should arrive on a predictable timeline. And when they don't, the temptation is to interpret the delay as evidence that the work is not working. But that is not how building something significant works. It never has been. Some people will get frustrated with the timeline and give up. Others will readjust and keep going. And the difference between those two groups is rarely talent or effort or even belief. It's the willingness to trust the process long enough for the compound effect of consistent work to become visible. The results are coming. They are just still underneath the surface. And the work you're doing right now is exactly what will make them undeniable when they arrive. I want to tell you about one of my best friends. I introduced her to the sport of outrigger canoe paddling about 3 years ago. She came to it with natural athleticism and a genuine willingness to learn, but she also came with something that worked against her in the early days. She would beat herself up over every mistake, every missed stroke, every moment her technique was off. To her, it felt like evidence that she was not improving. And because the improvements were gradual and incremental rather than sudden and obvious, she genuinely could not see them happening. What she did not realize is that the other people around her could. In outrigger canoe racing, a six-person canoe has seats that carry different levels of responsibility. The most critical is seat one, known as the stroker. This is the paddler at the very front of the canoe who sets the pace, the rhythm, and the timing for every paddler behind them. If the stroker's technique falters, the entire crew suffers. The canoe loses its rhythm and the race is compromised. You don't put a new or inconsistent paddler in seat one. You put your most technically reliable, most mentally focused, most consistently skilled paddler there. It's a position you earn through demonstrated ability that the crew can trust under pressure. After her first year, my friend has been assigned to seat one in multiple regattas, not because someone was being kind or because it was her turn. It's because the evidence of her improvement had accumulated to the point where the coaches and crew trusted her with the most important seat in the canoe. And the crews she paddles with have been consistently finishing in the top three at their regattas. She got there one practice at a time, one stroke at a time, one session where she showed up, even when she felt like she had nothing to show for it. The progress was happening, she just couldn't see it yet. And I wonder how many of you are in the same position right now, building something that the people around you can already see taking shape, improving in ways that are real and documented and undeniable to everyone except you. You are further along than you think. The evidence is there. You just have to learn to see it. I want to share something personal here because I think it belongs in this episode. This podcast is not growing as fast as I hope it would in the time frame I expected. And yes, that is discouraging at times. I will not pretend otherwise. And part of the reason is the reality of building something significant with limited time. The hours I have available are just enough to learn how to put it out there while still learning the many more things needed to grow it. I started almost blindly and knowing the stakes of that, knowing what I did not know and doing it anyway. Because getting my message out there is a non-negotiable. Not when I have it all figured out, not when the audience is ready. Now, with what I do have in the time I can find. Because the pull to be on a platform and make a difference in people's lives is something I have felt for too long to keep waiting for the perfect conditions to answer it. The discouragement is real, but it has never been louder than the one thing that is unshakable: my unwavering desire to make a difference in this world. And I hold on to that with faith, trusting God's timing completely, knowing without a doubt that what I am building will eventually reach the people it is meant to reach. Whether that is thousands or millions, that part I leave in His hands. And I want you to find yourself in that because whatever you're building, the same principle applies. When you have invested your time, your resources, your courage, your vulnerability into something that genuinely matters to you, it takes something significant to stop you. Not because you're immune to discouragement, but because the weight of what you have already put in and more so believe in reminds you that walking away costs more than pressing through. That is how you hold both simultaneously. The honest acknowledgement that is harder and slower than you hoped, and the unshakable conviction that it is worth it anyway. I want to stop right here and ask you to do something necessary. I want you to look back, not at where you hope to be by now, at where you actually were 12 months ago, 6 months ago, even 3 months ago. Look at what you did not know then than what you know now. Look at what you could not do then that you can do now. Look at the decisions you made differently, the patterns you caught before they caught you, the version of yourself that started this, and the version of yourself that is still doing it. That distance is real, even if nobody has noticed it yet, even if the metrics have not confirmed it, even if you are not where you expected to be by now. You are further along than you think. And the fact that you're still doing the work of building something meaningful already separates you from everyone who decided it wasn't worth it. That is not a small thing. It is the whole thing. Because everything that is coming for you, and it is coming, is only available to the person who stayed in the work and on the course long enough to receive it. Do not lose sight of that. Even if you have to reroute a little to get to the same destination, even if the timeline has shifted, even if the path looks different than you imagined. The small things progressing you forward matter, every single one of them. I want to speak to someone specific right now. The person who feels like they have nothing to show for all the work they have been doing. I see you, and I want you to hear me. You have more to show than you're giving yourself credit for. You're just looking for it in the wrong places. The most accurate measure of your progress is not the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It is the distance between where you are now and where you began. That shift in perspective is not a consolation. It is the most accurate way to measure what is actually happening. And what is actually happening is more significant than you realize. So keep going. Do not lose sight of what you're building and why it matters. Reroute if you need to. Adjust the timeline if you have to, but do not abandon the destination because the world needs what you're building and you are closer to it than you think. Before the next episode, here's what I want you to do. Write down 3 things that are different about you today compared to 6 months ago. Not 3 things you have achieved. 3 ways you have changed in how you think, in how you respond, in what you choose. And then read them back to yourself slowly. That is your progress, and it deserves to be seen. If you want a structured place to do this work, I have put together a free 10-week workbook that walks you through everything we have covered in the first 10 episodes of this show. It is completely free, and the link is in the description below. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Next time on The Rewrite, we're talking about what momentum actually looks like from the inside, not the highlight reel version, the real version, the one that looks like an ordinary Tuesday where you showed up anyway, so don't miss it. If this episode landed for you, share it with someone who has been doing the work and needs the reminder that they are further along than they think. Make sure you're subscribed. New episodes drop every week. This is The Rewrite because your story isn't finished yet.